From Washington, this is VOA News. EU foreign ministers propose sanctions against Ukraine, and Canada wins its fourth straight Olympic gold medal in women's ice hockey. I'm David Byrd reporting from Washington. European Union foreign ministers agreed Thursday to impose sanctions on Ukrainian officials deemed responsible for orchestrating the violence that has killed as many as 100 people in Kyiv. After holding an emergency meeting in Brussels, the EU officials said the measures would include visa bans, asset freezes, and restrictions on the export of anti-riot gear to the Ukrainian government. Catherine Ashton is the EU foreign policy chief.
But in the light of the deteriorating situation, we decided as a matter of urgency we needed to look at targeted sanctions. We've agreed to suspend export licenses for equipment for internal repression.
Here in Washington, White House Deputy Spokesman Josh Earnest said that President Obama is closely following developments in Kyiv.
The president also was making clear that there are options available to the United States and to the international community and to our allies, including those in the EU, to hold accountable those who perpetrate violence against peaceful protesters.
Witnesses in the Ukrainian capital say at least 33 people were killed in clashes that erupted between anti-government protesters and police on Thursday. That violence came just hours after President Viktor Yanukovych announced a truce with opposition leaders. For more on the situation in Ukraine, please visit our website, www.voanews.com. Iran and 6 world powers have ended what were described as 3 days of productive nuclear talks aimed at setting the agenda for further negotiations on the comprehensive deal on Tehran's nuclear program. Iranian state media reported Thursday that the two sides have agreed on a framework for talks on a comprehensive deal. The two sides are trying to build on a 6-month deal they reached in November that calls for Iran to cut back its most sensitive nuclear activity in exchange for limited sanctions relief. An Egyptian court has temporarily adjourned the trial of 20 journalists, including 3 from the Al Jazeera television channel, in a case that many say highlights the military-backed interim government's crackdown on dissent and free speech. The journalists, including 4 foreigners, are charged with spreading false information about Egypt and supporting or belonging to the Muslim Brotherhood. The Egyptian government sees that as a terrorist group. But Joe Stork is with Human Rights Watch.
Where else in the world has this happened? I mean, yes, these kinds of charges get made, but usually what happens is a visa gets revoked, the reporter gets expelled, and so on. It's a warning, it's intimidation.
The trial was adjourned Thursday until next month. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry has extended his visit to Paris for a second day, and he met again with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas as part of efforts to forge a framework Middle East peace accord. A senior State Department official said Kerry and Mr. Abbas met for a second time Thursday after holding an in-depth discussion about the core issues on Wednesday. The officials said Kerry and the Palestinian Authority president agreed it would be beneficial to continue the discussions. U.S. officials say the talks are at an important point ahead of an April 29th deadline to find an agreement between Mr. Abbas and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Canada's women's ice hockey team is celebrating winning its 4th straight Olympic gold medal. It beat the United States 3-2 Thursday in an overtime thriller in Sochi. Marie-Philippe Poulin scored the winning goal 8 minutes into overtime at the Bolshoi Ice Dome. Also Thursday, Adelina Sonitkova won Russia's first ever Olympic women's figure skating gold medal by upsetting defending champion Kim Yoo-na of South Korea. Italy's Carolina Kostner took the bronze. After Thursday's events, the United States leads in the overall medal count with 25, followed by Russia with 23. In gold medals, Norway leads with 10, and the United States and Germany are tied with 8 each. Americans paid higher energy costs last month as they coped with an unusually cold winter in much of the United States. The government's Labor Department says consumer prices edged up just 0.1% in January, but the cost of electricity and fuels to heat homes surged. In a separate report, the Labor Department said the number of unemployed workers making first-time claims for benefits dropped by 3,000. For more, log on to voanews.com. I'm David Byrd in Washington.